Hi everyone, can you hear me? Hi Catrice. So I have never been a person to sit up here and wait for so many people to come in or worried about likes or anything like that. I've always been a person about conversation. So I wanted to go ahead and get this conversation started. First and foremost, to anybody and everybody who knows me, hi, welcome back. And to those of you who don't, my name's Lexi. That being said, I really wanted to bring this conversation on today because I hadn't seen anyone talk about it, and I have been extremely busy on my other platform and doing my other things, but I really wanted to talk to everybody about the hot topics that I feel are hot topics, the things about what we saw on the season of Basketball Wives, the things that we are seeing in our culture to date, things of that nature. And I wanted to get everybody's perspective on it because, again, when I'm watching like feedbacks and live streams, everybody's focused on each other, but we're not focused on what's going on around us. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and I do see the chat. I see what's going on. I would rather everybody else like kind of get involved with this as well. So the first topic I am going to bring up is the past season of Basketball Wives. I'm not sure if everybody talked about it, but I want to go ahead and talk about it from the perspective of a darker skinned woman. So we see throughout the season what we could label as colorism. We can't really, some people have said racism, but I'm not going to dwell on that one too much. But I did see a difference of being treated based off of, it would seem, color or more so features. And colorism does cover features. So that being said, is anybody who's currently in the chat, if you know about it or if you watched it, if you can give me some kind of feedback, that'd be great. If not, okay. So I have a person who says that they haven't been able to see it, which is completely understandable. I really want to talk about it because as a darker skinned black woman, I saw the difference in the treatment. I saw how when they couldn't get along with her being OG, they automatically said that she was a liability. They said that she was a threat. And these are serious words that they use. And they also said that she was the antagonist. She got in everybody else's business. All she wanted to do was fight. Perfect. Thank you, Chopper. And I really think that I was like, wait a second. So, to everybody else's, Evelyn's, uh, Malaysia, her real name is LaQuisha. If you watch anybody else's reviews on it, you will vastly understand where the majority of all vloggers feel about this. But honestly speaking, everybody else was like, wait, we've seen chicks throw tables, real live tables. We have seen people hit each other with purses in their foreheads. We have seen people throw a full wine bottle. We have seen people throw glass and break it like they were going to shank someone. And all OG did, and she did it repeatedly. And I also agree with there's only so many times you can threaten somebody before they pop off. But all OG did repeatedly was say, I will break your jaw. Even with the crazy edits, even with things like that, she never once hauled off and swung on someone. And you would think if they were trying to portray her as this liability, as aggressive, that was the key word for the last 3 episodes, aggressive. that they would show this footage that says, oh, here she is trying to maul somebody, trying to break this poor little girl who's less than 100 pounds. Like, they showed none of that footage. And it was so funny to me because I was like, if you're trying to label someone aggressive, you really do need substantiated evidence with it. And this was happening. Yes, Miss Catrice, it did happen. Again, just put in basketball wives in your YouTube feed, and I promise you, you will find hours and hours of footage, of commentary, of outrage, to be specific, because everybody was like, is this really happening? But that being said, it was one of the things where I was just like, oh my goodness, can you believe it? And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because we kind of see it every single day, where the lighter your skin is, or, and this is the truth, the lighter your skin is, plus your gender, your born gender, determines what is acceptable and what you can get away with. And not only in other communities, but also within our own community, and within the way that we interact with each other. And that's why I wanted to talk about this, because I was like, hey, maybe we all need to take a look in the mirror and identify why that is, and why a large broadcasting company such as Viacom thought it was okay to depict this type of perception and think that they could gain money off of it. That's the end result. Let's see. Evelyn used to always be violent and in all the seasons. Also, Tammy, I need to watch this season and catch up, but I will hear you out on it. Absolutely. I always tell people, don't take my word for it. Go look at the facts for yourself. That's why I titled this first episode, it's going to be something that's weekly. It's not going to be every day, every other day. I can't even do it like that. I don't have the bandwidth, to be honest. But go look for it for yourself, because I'm giving you what it is based off of a ton of opinion. Before I spoke on this, it is all about the opinion of the masses, which I just happen to agree with. I'm also going to bring up some stuff later on that I don't agree with, but everybody else agrees with. So again, please do your research. So I really want to throw that first topic out, because it is something that we as a culture and we as a society really do need to speak on. The other thing, because I am on a serious time constraint, because again, I do have another platform I have to dedicate myself to. Anyway, but the next thing I wanted to speak on with regards to this side of the culture is the current state of the presidency. I see so many people in so many different chats say, oh, I don't want to talk about politics. We need to talk about politics. We need to arm ourselves with the facts, not what somebody told us in the news. We need to be able to do the research ourselves. We are some Googling fools when we want to find something out about somebody else. But when we need to find out something that is going to affect us in the next 4, 8, 12, or even 20 years, we're less likely to do so. And I really want to call that out, because it's the truth. Truth of the matter is, right now, the country as we know it, has digressed or rolled back at least 15 to 20 years. Things that were not okay in just 2000. We're not going to talk about 1990 and 1980, because I don't know nothing about what happened in 1980, real talk. But things that have happened since 2000 and current, look at the difference. For instance, when has it ever been okay for someone to call someone the N-word and not get dealt with? And not just physically, but get dealt with in their job and stuff like that. And yes, we do see those rare occurrences, and I call them rare, where people are putting them on Facebook and social media and stuff like that. But how many of our people, of our culture, of African Americans, Blacks, whatever you want to label yourself today, how many of them are losing their jobs? Or how many of them are working 2 and 3 jobs just to equate to what their counterparts who do not have the same DNA or the same blood structure as them? Like, we have to be real about this. We have to be real about how the company, not company, but sometimes company, how the country itself has digressed within the past 3 years. Like, we have to arm ourselves. Thank you, Under the Mat Radio. We have to arm ourselves with education. We have to be willing to look at something for what it is, call a thing, and let our voices be heard. I have heard so many times where people are sitting up there and saying, hey, I'm not going to vote this year. Hey, I don't care. They're all scum. Not really. I'm not endorsing nobody. Just keeping that pure 100 a buck with you all. I am not going to endorse anyone right now. But what I am going to say is we do need to take the time to talk about these things. How many of you guys are sitting up here and you're afraid to be in your own house because you've seen 2 people within a calendar year from September to September? You've seen 2 people that we know of. There's probably tens, if not hundreds. But you have seen 2 people get shot and killed in their own home for no reason. They were not being combative. The cops did not get called to their home because they had a loud, ruckus party where drugs were involved and, people were hanging out the windows and people were getting raped. All of the horrible things you could ever think of. None of that happened in those 2 cases. And there are 2 people that we know of that are in the ground. We know 2 people who have families that will never be the same. And I say that we know of consistently because, again, guys, this is probably the tip of the iceberg. And we as a culture, we as a society, we as people, brothers, sisters, whatever you want to call yourselves, none of us are holding that conversation. We get up under TMZ and Boss Up and wherever else you want to go into the forum and leave your 140 characters or less and talk about it. But that's it. When's the last time anybody, besides myself, when is the last time anybody has been up there and went to their city council meetings? When is the last time that they took advantage and went to those meetings where the mayors of their tri-city or whatever sit up there and talk about all the great things that they've done and ask them, how are we holding the police force accountable? I can tell you when the last time I did it this past Thursday. I was so moved. I was so scared because, again, I have young Black men in my family. I happen to work for an amazing woman who has 2 young Black men. One just started high school and one just graduated and he's in his freshman year of college. And when her and I sat down and had a conversation about work, and I told her how I felt in the field right now, I'm going to answer your question in just a second, Chopper. I want to finish this part, though. She broke in and said, I had to ask my son to move back home and go to college locally because I'm scared I'm going to lose him. This is a woman who has worked her entire life. Now, she does have a husband, same husband, baby fathers, the husband, all the great things. But they are scared. Now, she's racially ambiguous, which means you can't tell what race she is because her mother is a Brit. So she is mixed. And even she understands and identifies what it is to be a Black man or a dark-skinned Black woman in America today. And that's why I need to say this. And Chopper, now to go to you and to answer your question, honey, how many times have you spoken the truth And people will feel a way about it, but they always come back. I ask you that because you need to be able to identify. Sometimes you need to speak on it. Speak on what you know. Speak on the things that you were going through. People are going to identify. And you may lose some people who are just dialed in for the mess. And I'm not even going to call it mess. They're dialed in for what they find entertaining. But you are going to gain so much more who said, okay, he's not just about that part. He also cares about this. Because at the end of the day, no matter how you feel about somebody, you are still a Black man. You still have a voice. You still contribute to society. You still pay taxes on whatever you do and how you do it. So you deserve the right to speak on it. And it's just like, if I can reference somebody, it's just like, what's his name? James Caldwell. I do follow James Caldwell. I've always been a person who is neutral, and I'm always going to remain neutral. That doesn't mean that I'm soft or scary. No, that just means that I have the power of discernment. If you don't know what discernment is, look it up. That being said, James can go off on one tangent in one video, and I may not watch it. I look at the title and I'm like, that video is not for me. But when he does his swipe left, when he does his reviews, especially about shows that I have a common interest in, I may just not have been able to watch it, or I didn't know if I want to watch it because other people have been feeling a way about the show. I look at his opinion. As a matter of fact, he has a different opinion about basketball wives and the storylines that were ran than I do. But I've watched every single one of his reviews. So you have the power to do it. It's just on if you want to do it. Miss Catrice says, that is so true. Real talk is so much serious issues that are happening and in the communities, and it's very serious. It is scary. At any point of time, anybody can lose their life. Any point in time. We've always said that back in the day. We've always said those things were like, oh, you don't know if you're going to wake up tomorrow, stuff like that. That is more prevalent now than it was back then. And that's the truth. Truth of the matter is, if you could lose your life in your own home. You don't even have to walk out the door. And we are not talking about of natural causes. We are talking about because somebody, and I say this with all due respect, somebody cared enough about you to make sure that you were okay when they called the non-emergency number and said, hey, something's weird. I know my neighbor. They don't normally do it that way. And now your neighbor is 6 feet under. Real talk. And we get a momentary glance on social media. We see it trending on Twitter. But where is the follow-up? And I ask this question because has anybody noticed that we haven't seen the NAACP in either one of those cases? We haven't seen Reverend Al Sharpton. We haven't seen Jesse Jackson. We haven't seen none of them. The same men who were marching against President Obama, former President Obama, we haven't seen them march not once. When's the last time y'all seen a Black Lives Matter movement going, besides on Twitter, besides the hashtag? That's the definition of fake outrage. Everybody is so about the money. Everybody is so about the conglomerate of it all. We say the things that we need to say when we see that there's 200, 300 people in the chat or 200, 300 people in a common thread saying those things that we agree with, but we are so afraid to say it on our own. Right. You're absolutely right. Under the Mat Radio, Reverend Al Sharpton, like, But this should benefit him. Now is the time. Now you've got everybody who, whether you are black, brown, Chinese, Hindu, basically if you were everything but Anglo-Saxon or European looking, you should be afraid. Now is the time for everybody to unite. Everybody is always talking about Wonder Twins unite. This is the time for them to unite and get it together and get it popping, because think about it. Just think about it. I wanted to talk about this stuff because it needs to be talked about, and I don't care about having 1K, 2K, 900 in the chat. I don't care about none of that, because I know I have a voice and I know I have substance. I want to talk to people and at least spark the interest. Spark them to go look for it for themselves. And if they're more successful with it, then I've done my job. My job is simply to talk about it. Whether I talk to myself or I talk to a million people. And that's just the truth. But the people who have that platform, your Reverend Al Sharpton, your Jesse Jackson, I keep wanting to call him his nickname and I just won't do it. Your Black Lives Matter movement, all of that, even the Me Too movement was started by an African American woman. That being said, why are we not talking about the recent or the ongoing atrocities that are happening within our culture? Why are we not bringing awareness to it? Thank you, Under the Mat Radio. Why are we not bringing this forward to everybody? And why aren't we focusing on it? We all got time for the melee and the fun and the clowning and the lightness, even though it has turned from lightness to darkness. And we all know that. We're not going to get on that tip. But the lightheartedness, why don't we have time for the seriousness? Because it's affecting us. It affects us individually, it affects us in our presence, and it affects us in our future. Why are we not speaking on these things? Why are we so afraid to speak on these things? Why are we afraid of what others will think of us? Because the truth is, people agree with us. From all walks of life, they agree with us. So why aren't we speaking on it? Because the people that we would normally have on our side, the people that we would normally look to, they're not doing it. I'm not saying go out there, throw up your hair, wear all black, throw up a Black Panther. I'm not saying doing none of that. I'm saying use your intelligence. Use the time that you were given. Google this stuff. There's so many ways to be an activist. There's so many ways to prove to them, even if you are the lone voice in that room, I care and I matter and I know who to talk to and I know who to ask the questions to. That's it. That's all you got to do. You don't have to go on a campaign writing trail. You don't have to hitch your wagon to any of the candidates, no matter what your political affiliation is at the moment. All you have to do is speak from what you know, what you did the research on, and go forward. That's it. And you will always find support. And sometimes it'll be from the unlikeliest of places, but the truth is, you will find support because people cannot disagree with wrong. I mean, not wrong, but they cannot disagree what's not wrong for too long. And that's the truth. So I'm going to step down off of that one because I know it's a hard pill to swallow. And I know it's a very sensitive subject. So I'm going to just pull down off of that. But we are going to talk about 45. I was always raised to respect the position. Even if you don't respect the person holding it, you respect the title. So therefore that, 45 is the current president of the United States, which just happens to be President Trump. There is a movement, and I'm using air quotes. I'm trying this new StreamYard thing out on this channel before I launch it on my other channel to make sure everything goes accordingly. That being said, there is a movement to impeach this man. If anybody knows anything and you followed all of the news stations, I don't recommend just following one because everybody has their own agenda. So you do have to look at other perspectives to get an iota of the truth, to be honest. That being said, going across all of the media that has covered it, this person, this individual, he has done multiple things in order to be impeached. And that's just the blatant truth of it. Look at how much gas is right now. Look how much a loaf of bread costs now. Look at the fact, and I saw this on social media. I didn't know it until I saw it on social media, and then I drove to my local Walmart to see it. Look at the fact that Wally World, Walmart, no longer carries Faded Glory or Old Glory, whatever their brand name was. They can't carry it anymore because of the tariffs that have been happening on all of the incoming, like, clothing and fabrics and stuff. Basically, these wars that we're having, and it's economic wars that we're having with China, India, all of the abroad countries. Look at what's happening, guys. Look at how much you spent on Christmas presents and 2011, 2012. We'll say even 2015, 2016. And look at what you're going to spend this year. Hopefully you budgeted. I have. And you can see the difference. Look at how your power bill has creeped up. Look at all of the stuff that's happening, guys. All because we did what they want us to do again. We put our noses in the air. We said, I don't like anybody who's on the ballot. I'm not voting. Which let the people who were, I'm going to use the word sheeple, the sheeps, the followers, the ones who were in it for them, and they heard what they wanted to hear instead of looking at the truth. Look at what happened. Look at all of the vets, because Under the Mat Radio put something in the chat that said Agent Orange. Look at all the vets who are not getting treatment. When you see an influx of homeless people and you actually read their signs, how many of them are saying that they're veterans? I'm not saying give them a blank check and let them bawl till they fall. I'm saying get them the medical help that they need to be balanced enough to contribute to society, because those boys need help. The things that they have seen, I could not even imagine. Miss Catrice is saying exactly. I was just saying the other day to a friend, my power bill was extremely high and I hadn't done anything differently. Everything has gone up mysteriously. Exactly. My power bill in my establishment, and I'm going to give you a tip for that, Miss Catrice. My power bill where I lived at for the past 10 years, I look from year to year, date to date. I use less electricity this year than I did last year, this previous month, and my bill was up by 30%. I called in. They couldn't tell me why. Oh, blah, blah, blah. We could check the meter. Well, check the meter. Do whatever you got to do to explain this to me. Because the chart on my power bill shows that from this time last year to this time this year, I have not been using my power. So tell me why. I'm that chick. That being said, Miss Catrice, and to anybody who listens to this is some real tea. One of the managers put me up who actually works at the power company. I paid my bill, everything. I wasn't happy about it, but I paid it. And the manager, because I went all the way up to the manager level to help me understand and identify why my bill was so high. That being said, they told me, they said, you paid they were like, oh, you paid a deposit 10 years ago. And I said, yeah, I did, because somebody had stolen my blah, blah, blah. You can see all of the information on my account. I had to do a fraud packet, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, you can apply your deposit to your bill. You've always been current, so you can apply the deposit back to the bill and it'll pay you up for it. 10 years, first time I ever heard that. 10 years, first time I had ever heard that. I absolutely did it, because guess what? That's one less bill I got to worry about during the Christmas season. So, I don't know your situation, Miss Catrice, or anybody else who listens to it. Pay your bill up, and if you ever paid a deposit, you ask for it. You ask for that deposit to go back to the account. Save yourself a month or two. Be armed, because here's the funny thing. When I called back in because I thought about it. I was like, man, let me do that. Called back in. And do you know the other people were giving, oh, are you trying to close your account? No, that's not what I said. I said I want to do this. A manager told me on this time and this date, always write down when you get pertinent information as well, to do it like this. I want to do it like this. Went all the way up to another manager. That manager was so mad that I knew it, and you could tell she had every bit of attitude in her voice. But guess what? It got done. So I am all the way clear up until January. I have done the math. Let's see, random taxes too on bills or mystery fees. Yes. Look at your cell phone bill. Your cell phone bill should have creeped up too. There should have been more federal tax increase. Like, guys, look at what's going on. This is a direct result of someone running the country who has no idea what they're doing. Look at the fact that he cannot keep a stable cabinet. And I'm not talking about all the drama and hoopla. I'm talking about the people who are true professionals, the economists, the 4-star and 5-star generals, the staunch professionals who have run Fortune 500 companies and been successful for 20 and 30 years. They are all jumping ship within 6 to 12 months. We are in trouble. We really need to utilize our voice, our talents, because again, no shade is being thrown, but you are absolutely talented in Googling what you want to Google about who you want to Google about. So use your powers to Google on this and make a change before it's too late. Just putting it out there. It is just, and exactly, think about that. Again, Christmas is going to be something that is very important for you this year, Miss Catrice, if you have your 2 granddaughters with you. So every penny counts. Let's see, gas going up, even fruit snacks, everything. Yes, fruit snacks used to be $1 a box, fruit roll-ups. Now it's what, $2.49? And that's the Costco brand. Like, not Costco brand, I'm sorry, I don't shop at Costco. That would be a far-fetched lie. It would be at Albertsons, that's on the West Coast, or Save-On if you're on the East Coast. So, yeah. Like here in Baltimore, went through 5 different police commissary or commissioners, 45 people dipping. Exactly. Because when people start talking about this on a larger platform, and when people start talking about this and bringing the masses in and talking about the things that we need to talk about, there's going to be so much backlash. So many people are going to lose their political seats. And that's the truth of the matter. The truth of the matter is, even though the federal level is supposed to be separate from the local level upheld the crap. I'm not going to curse, even though I want to say the F word on that part. But the local level upheld the debauchery and the foolishness and the foolery. They did nothing. They didn't stand against it. Hi, Miss Carla. Hi, Miss Carla. And I saw your message. Thank you for the kind words. That being said, guys, it is so important to have this conversation. Don't be afraid to. Don't be afraid to go back to your favorite YouTuber. They may ignore you at first, but guess what? More and more people in the chat are going to agree with you if you just ask it politely. Hey, has anybody noticed how gas has gone up? Has anybody noticed how a loaf of bread has to be on sale now for me to even think about it? It went from 99 cents to $1.99, and that's the store brand. Has anybody noticed how a six-pack of eggs is $1.99? It's like people just think about what's going on. And I see your comment, Ms. Catrice. So these are the things that I wanted to talk about. I am going to be on here for like 7 more minutes, and I'm going to wrap this up and give you guys back your day. But those are the things that I wanted to put out there and talk about. And again, this is going to be something that's weekly. It's going to be done on Sundays. It'll be done around 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's only going to be an hour. I cannot promise you that it is going to be the hottest, juiciest gossip you ever heard of. I've never been that girl. There may be times that I talk about something that is happening, but mostly I want to talk about things that affect us all, not things that won't, muddy the waters or stuff like that. Because again, I don't care. It could be my opinion. Thank you so much, Miss Autism Mommy. But I do want to talk about things that will help everybody to improve. And not only that, I want to get your minds off of a lot of stuff, because I'm not gonna lie, I do see it. I see it as I'm trying to build my other platform. Well, that platform is doing amazing, but I do see it, and I'm just like, whoa, that's a lot. Thank you so much, Under the Mat Radio. Before I let him go, though, it says, how is it that 45 has no filter on Twitter and press conferences and not get a penalty? Let that been President Obama, former President Bush, Clinton, the first President Bush, not so. Exactly. Because his followers, that's what they are, followers, feel he's keeping it real. He is being so disrespectful to the office that he obtained. You don't use curse words and profane language in that office. You might do it when nobody's around and there's not a hot mic, as they call it, which is a live mic. But you don't do that when everybody is watching you. You don't do it for the ooh, ah factor. What is that? How are you doing that? Who are you? Like, that's so disrespectful. It's Oh, see, look, and speaking of autism, I happen to have a dear friend who has a son whose name is Maverick. I love the name Maverick, who is autistic. He is on the spectrum. These are the things that I want to encourage people. There are so many programs in your local cities that are free for kids with autism. Do the research. They're few and far between who are actually licensed and dedicated to those children, but there are programs. Even with the company that myself and this person works for, I had to give him the information because I had just happened to run across one of these programs in my professional line of work. And another thing is, I have learned that autistic children are so talented. His son is pitch perfect, which means that baby can sing and he can play the piano by ear. So you want to know what I did? I introduced them to church. I said, of course they're not Black. I said, the Black church, we have a ton of people who play the piano by ear. And I brought him to my mother's church, and they fell in love with Maverick, and Maverick is doing so much better because he's around people who can understand him, on the musical aspect. They can't help him in his other stuff, but they can foster and grow his talent. So I love that, Autism Mommy. I hope that you have those programs, and if not, you find the love and talent that allows your children to speak to others and you nurture that. Yes, Miss Catrice, it's very important that we do need to talk. See, everybody knows somebody who's been diagnosed. I'm not gonna go on the rampage about why people are being diagnosed, because that's a whole nother thing for a whole nother segment. That'll probably be episode 3. Just to give you guys an idea, episode 2 is going to talk about African American women and our health, because I have noticed some surprising things. And that's also where I've been, and I will share that story and share my story. I have no qualms with doing that. But I have noticed some alarming trends within African American women that we just take as norm. It's not normal. And I have talked to many doctors out here, and they have all said, wow, you actually are talking about something. You're actually right. Da, da, da. A lot of my clients do have that same issue. Okay. So let's identify where it's coming from, because if we all talk about it and we are unashamed and unabashed about talking about it, we may just be able to fix it. And not just fix it, we may be able to say, I'm not going to continue the cycle. So I cannot wait for that episode. I'm not going to go too far into it. I can tell you, since I started having those conversations with myself and then having it with my healthcare professionals, I've been doing a ton better. I know I sound different. I sound different because I'm doing better, guys. Like, I feel better. I'm not 100% yet, but I know I'll be there. And that's all that's important. There is supposed to be some form of formality when you represent a U.S. government. Absolutely, Miss Carla. We lost that. We lost that about 4 to 5 years ago. I'm not even going to put it on just the presidency. People were so against former President Obama, they lost their minds. Oh, thank you so much, Miss Catrice. Number 45 is starting a movement. Those with eyes need to pay attention, because this is beginning to be something awful. Absolutely. Before I let you guys go, I want to end with what Ms. Catrice said. If we do not open our eyes, the things that are happening now are only going to get worse. It's the deaths that are happening now are only going to get worse. It is only going to multiply. It is only going to affect everybody more. Right now, it is in your neighboring state. It might be in your neighboring county. It's going to knock on your door sooner or later. And that's the crazy part about it. But it is my cutoff time. Again, guys, I thank you so much for the people who came in. I thank those who will listen to it in the future. I thank those who are going to spread the word, even if it's on their own platform, in their own way, in their own content. I thank you. I look forward to talking to you again. Next episode will be next Sunday, because I have recommitted myself to that. So on this channel, next episode will be next Sunday, 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. I bid you all an amazing week. I hope you all go out and do the research, or find a way to lower the cost on your bills, things like that, just to help you through. And with that, God bless and have a great day, guys.